Good morning, everybody. It's Laurie White, president of the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to episode number 122 of Chamber TV. And today, a very interesting topic. In fact, it's a heartbreaking topic, if you will, at the present, because we know so many people in our lives that are struggling with early stage Alzheimer's or advanced stage. And this is a topic that's certainly prevalent in society today, and one that we actually were quite eager to take on here at the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce, because we have some terrific subject matter experts with us today, members of the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce. And in fact, we've had quite a strong turnout of chamber members that are interested in learning more about this topic, because although it is heartbreaking and a devastating illness, there is hope on the horizon, and our experts today will lead us through a really interesting and important discussion about the disease and some of the warning signs, and also what some of the research is looking like in an effort to really cure this disease. So we are live on Facebook, we are live on Twitter, we are live on YouTube, as we usually are. And we are interested in your questions. We are interested in your feedback. Please, if you're listening and you have a specific question that you'd like to pose to our subject matter experts, please do put them in the chat box, and we will get to those questions and make sure that everybody walks away with the answers that they need. And to anticipate the question that always comes, yes, this session is being recorded, and we will be putting up live on the Chamber website, which also will be on YouTube as well. So plenty of information to dig into this morning, and I know that I'm really looking forward to this, and we're going to walk away with some interesting insights and also some hope for a brighter future. With that, let me introduce our subject matter experts from the Alzheimer's Association of Rhode Island. We have Nicki, we have Annie, and we have Kate. So I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you to begin your presentation. So thanks again.
Well, thank you so much, Laurie, for inviting us here this morning. It's a pleasure for all of us to be here and to be part of the chamber. So again, just thank you so much. My name is Annie Murphy, and I'm actually the program manager here at the Alzheimer's Association Rhode Island chapter. And it has been a pleasure for me for the last 11 years to work for the Alzheimer's Association and to truly to work with the thousands of families that we know here in the state of Rhode Island who are living with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease or another dementia. Just statistically, we know that there's about 23,000 people living in this state alone living with the diagnosis, and over 60,000 unpaid caregivers who are providing that, unending 24/7 care to their loved ones living with the diagnosis. So we, are here this morning just to shed light on understanding and the importance of understanding what are the warning signs for early diagnosis and the importance of early detection. And we also want, everyone to know about all of the, resources and services that the Alzheimer's Association offers, on a regular basis. And we'll be getting more into that, further into our presentation. But we're also just excited because for many of us who have, been through this journey and have been with the association for as many years, we are seeing hope now, in the light of, having better ability to detect and diagnose at an earlier, in the earlier disease process, and that there is hope on the horizon for better treatment options and prevention. So we hope to be able to share some of that information further along in this presentation. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Nicki Trilling, who is a staunch advocate for the Alzheimer's Association. She is our former chair, a co-chair for the Newport Walk to End Alzheimer's. And she is also now a volunteer educator for the Alzheimer's Association. She is also has been personally touched by Alzheimer's disease in her family. And so she brings her passion, her staunch advocacy, and her desire, just like all of us, here to see an end to Alzheimer's disease and to really help us to move forward so that we can provide better care and support for our families. So Nicki, here's to you, my dear, and thank you so much for being with us.
Annie, thank you so much for that wonderful welcome. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to the 10 Warning Signs of Alzheimer's. This education program was designed by the Alzheimer's Association. As Annie said, I am a volunteer community educator with the Rhode Island chapter. After having been down this journey several times in my family, my passion is to educate those and others around the early signs so they can be informed and take action. So today's program is designed to learn about the warning signs of Alzheimer's and other dementias. And for those who have noticed memory or thinking changes in themselves or in others, throughout the presentation, we'll see a number of videos that have taken place in various settings. Please let us know if you're having trouble hearing the videos or me as we move through the program. As Laurie mentioned, there will be questions that you can put into comments that we will take at the end. So there will be an opportunity for your specific questions to be answered. But after the program, there is going to be resources available to you for the helpline, available 24/7. So let's start. Today, we're going to explore the most common warning signs of Alzheimer's to help you be informed about what normal aging is and what is not. By the end of today's program, the goal is for you to be able to describe typical age-related memory, thinking, or behavior changes. Recognize common warning signs of Alzheimer's and dementia. Discuss the tips for approaching someone about memory concerns. Explain the importance of early detection and benefits of diagnosis. Identify possible tests and assessments for the diagnostic process, and name the resources available through the Alzheimer's Association. We're all here today to learn more about dementia and Alzheimer's and identify common warning signs of the disease. You may have heard the terms dementia and Alzheimer's used interchangeably. While they're related, there are significant differences between the two. Let's hear more about this from some dementia and association experts.
Dementia is the umbrella term for an individual's changes in memory, thinking, or reasoning. There are many possible causes of dementia, and Alzheimer's is the most common cause. Other causes of dementia are vascular dementia, which is marked by changes in the blood flow in the blood vessels in the brain. Dementia with Lewy bodies, identified by specific brain changes throughout the brain that include the buildup of a protein known as alpha-synuclein. And frontal temporal dementia, which is marked by brain cell loss in the front sections of the brain or the frontal lobe. Each type of dementia may have distinct characteristics to cause specific behaviors in the individual, but there is also some overlap in behaviors among the types of dementia.
Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, accounting for more than 80% of all cases. Next, Dr. Dean Hartley is going to explain to us what the disease is and what it looks like in the brain.
More than 100 years ago, Dr. Alice Alzheimer's described specific changes in the brain, what we call the formation of plaques and tangles. Now, Alzheimer's is a progressive brain disease that's marked by these key changes and is thought to impact memory, thinking, and behavior. The brain has three main parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. Each one plays a role in how the body functions. The cerebrum fills up most of your skull. It is part of the brain most involved in remembering, problem solving, thinking, and even feelings. There are about 100 billion nerve cells or neurons throughout the brain that transmit messages in order for us to create memories, feelings, and thoughts. Alzheimer's disease causes nerve cells to die, which leads to the brain tissue loss, or what we call shrinkage, and causes loss of function and communication between cells. These changes can cause the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, such as memory loss, problems with thinking, planning, behavioral issues, and even at the end stages, problems with swallowing.
Lastly, we'll hear from Ruth Drew, the Director of Information and Support Services at the Alzheimer's Association, about the importance of recognizing the warning signs of Alzheimer's.
It's important to know what the warning signs of Alzheimer's are and to be on the lookout. We know that we change over time, and the warning signs of Alzheimer's can be warning signs of a number of things. But when you see those in yourself or in someone you care about, it's important to check it out, to consult with a doctor, to find out what you're dealing with.
As Ruth said, it's important to know what the warning signs are and to be on the lookout for these marked changes. The Alzheimer's Association, as a leader in this area, developed a list of 10 warning signs to help people understand the difference between normal aging and common signs of possible dementia. The list is intended to be a tool to help identify unusual changes in a person's memory, thinking, or behavior. It's important to note that this list does not constitute a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia. These are simply the more common examples of changes expected or experienced. Individuals may experience one or more of these signs in different degrees. Let's explore each sign and some of the typical age-related changes may be. The first sign listed here is memory loss that disrupts daily life. This is one of the most common signs of Alzheimer's, especially early on. It's forgetting recently learned information. Others include forgetting important dates or events, repeatedly asking the same questions, and increasingly relying on memory aids or learning on others for things or tasks once handled on their own. A typical age-related change is sometimes forgetting information, but remembering later. The second is challenges in planning and solving problems. Some people may experience new difficulties in executive functioning, including developing or following a plan or difficulty concentrating. Conversely, a more age-related change is making occasional errors when managing bills or household finances. The third sign is difficulty completing familiar tasks. People living with dementia often find it hard to complete daily tasks that used to be managed with ease, such as driving to a familiar place, writing a grocery list, remembering how to play a favorite game. Conversely, a typical age-related change would be occasionally needing help to use a microwave or a remote. Could also include having trouble with new technology that the person hasn't had the opportunity to engage with or is familiar. The fourth is confusion with time or place. An individual living with Alzheimer's or another dementia may lose track of dates, seasons, or passage of times. They may have trouble understanding something if it's not currently happening, or become confused about where they are or how they got there. This can be more dramatic or profound in the middle and late stages. A more typical age-related change could be getting confused about what day it is or when a scheduled appointment is, but figuring it out later. Number 5 is trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. Some individuals with Alzheimer's or another dementia may experience vision problems, which can lead to difficulty with balance, trouble, reading, and problems judging distance and determining color and contrast, which can all impact driving or navigating the environment around them. Vision changes such as cataracts are a more typical age-related change. This sign shows us that these changes are not just about memory. It's important to think about all the other ways that someone's daily life may be impacted by any of these changes. Number 6 is new problems with words or speaking or writing. Individuals may have trouble following or joining a conversation, stop in the middle of a conversation and forget what they were talking about, and continuously repeating themselves. They may struggle with finding the right word or calling things by the wrong name. They may start using more descriptive terms to talk about something rather than the name of the actual item. A normal age-related change, however, would be occasionally having trouble finding the right word. Number 7 is misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. This sign often causes concern in people. I want to clarify, this isn't just about losing your keys on occasion. Misplacing things from time to time, but retracing steps to find them is a normal age-related process. A person with Alzheimer's disease may lose things and may not be able to recall when it was last seen or identify the location or where it was placed, or he or she may put things in unusual places like shoes in the refrigerator. Because of the lack of executive function and awareness, the person may grow increasingly suspicious of others and start accusing others of stealing and doing so more frequently over time. Number 8 is decreased or poor judgment. Individuals may experience changes in judgment or decision making, such as using poor judgment when dealing with money or paying less attention to hygiene and grooming. This can be especially common in individuals who live alone. Making a bad decision once in a while, such as forgetting to get an oil change, is more typical of age-related change. Number 9, withdrawal from work or social activities. As we age, it's normal to feel uninterested by family or social engagements at times. However, someone who is experiencing dementia-related changes may start to lose their ability to hold or follow a conversation, and as a result, begin withdrawing from social encounters or hobbies. They may lose the confidence to engage in that way. And number 10 is changes in mood and personality. Individuals with Alzheimer's or another dementia may become confused, suspicious, depressed, fearful, or anxious. They may get easily upset either at home or when out of their comfort zone. As we age, however, it's normal to develop very specific ways of doing things and becoming upset or irritable when our routine is disrupted. Someone with Alzheimer's or dementia may become fearful, angry, easily frustrated, which is something that should be addressed. Our next topic is early detection. It's key that we pay attention to what's going on with our own cognitive health and not dismiss any changes that we may be experiencing as normal aging, as well as that of others around us. Any changes that's unusual for your level of functioning or that of someone around you is cause for concern. Many times, family and friends are the first to notice changes in someone's memory, behavior, or other abilities. Sometimes the person exhibiting symptoms isn't aware or may not have the insight to know that they are experiencing changes, which is why having outside perspective is critical. This is especially important for individuals who live alone or are far from family and friends. Let's listen to Dr. Salloway discuss this and then hear from a care partner who was the first to notice changes in her husband.
You know, it's a very interesting phenomenon that people who have memory problems are often less aware of it than family members or their friends who know them well. One of the reasons for that is our ability to monitor ourselves, which is an important part of brain function, when we start having memory problems. Not in everybody, but commonly, and more than half the people with memory problems. So the person is just not keeping track of the trouble they're having day to day. But the family members are, paying attention. If they're paying attention, they see, boy, this is starting to happen a lot, and the person's not aware of it. So the family's more aware, and they may talk to their loved one about it, and they say, I've noticed you've been repeating yourself. They say, I'm not repeating myself. And that could either be due to the fact that they're not aware of it, or they may not want to acknowledge it.
I was so adamant about what was happening to Daryl. I wasn't sure. I didn't know. And this wasn't the person that I know. This wasn't the person. Daryl was my husband was very, he always had to be building or designing or working with his hands. And it was getting to the point where he wasn't, and he was becoming very frustrated when he was forgetting to do things or go places.
If you could continue to observe these changes, it's critical that you plan to take the next step and have a conversation with the person or others close to him or her about what you've noticed. This can be a difficult or uncomfortable conversation to have. The Alzheimer's Association has developed a roadmap of 10 helpful steps to help make addressing memory concerns less daunting and more productive. Let's take a look. Start by assessing the situation. What changes in memory, thinking, or behavior do you see? What is the person doing or not doing that's causing concern? What else is going on? Various conditions can cause changes in memory, thinking, and behavior. Are there other health or lifestyle issues that could be contributing to these changes, such as stress, diabetes, or change in medication? Learn about the signs and the benefits of early diagnosis. You've already taken the very important first step by joining us for this program to learn about these topics. Do you notice any of these signs in the person you're concerned about? Has anyone else noticed the changes you've observed? Talk with friends and family. What, if any, changes have they noticed? Next, prepare to have a conversation. Who should have the conversation to discuss the concerns with the person? It could be you, a trusted family member or friend, or a combination. It's usually best to speak one-on-one so the person doesn't feel threatened or ambushed. But use what you know about the person to judge what approach might work best. When and where should the conversation be held? It's important to have the conversation as soon as possible. In addition to identifying the date and time, you should also consider where the person will feel most comfortable. What will you or the person having the conversation to say? You may want to build out something of a script. Consider the following question. I've noticed a change in you and I'm concerned. Have you noticed this? Are you worried? How have you been feeling lately? You haven't seemed like yourself. I noticed you keep repeating yourselves, for instance, and it worried me. Has anything else like that happened? Offer to go with the person to the doctor. Ask the person to see a doctor and offer to accompany them. Encouraging words such as, there are lots of things that could be causing this. Let's see if the doctor can help us figure out what's going on. The sooner we know what's causing these problems, the sooner we can address it. I think it would give us both peace of mind if we talk to a doctor. If needed, have multiple conversations. Don't be discouraged if the first conversation is not as successful as you'd hope. Write down notes about how it went so you can prepare for any future conversations. Don't dismiss the changes you're noticing simply because the person is reluctant to address them or the conversation didn't go as planned. Reach out for support. You can turn to the Alzheimer's Association, call our toll-free 24/7 helpline to talk with master's level clinicians who can provide reliable support and information, including about how to have this important conversation. Finally, see a doctor. Most people address concerns about memory, thinking, and behavior with their primary care physician first. However, in some cases, the primary care physician may refer the person to a specialist for evaluation. Examples: geriatricians who have additional training in medical care for diseases and conditions common among older adults, generally over the age of 65. Neurologists who specialize in diseases of the brain and nervous systems. It's important to note that not all urologists specialize in Alzheimer's and other dementias. Neuropsychologists who can assess, diagnose, and treat psychological disorders associated with brain-based conditions. Psychiatrists who specialize in disorders that affect mood or the way that the mind works. And psychologists with special training in testing memory and other mental functions. Now we know what signs to look for and how to approach the conversation.
There are a number of benefits in early detection of Alzheimer's. For one thing, a person is able to have a voice in what happens next. They can make plans. They can live life more on their own terms. They can also make plans for the future, financial plans, care plans. They can let people know what they want, which can be a real gift later on. It also allows time for families to make plans and to make decisions about who can do what and figure out care and those kinds of issues. Also, the treatments that are available for Alzheimer's don't cure Alzheimer's. They don't slow down the disease, but they do help with symptoms. And it seems as though they tend to work better the earlier a person is able to use those. So that can help too. Some people are interested in clinical trials. Clinical trials allow people to have access to treatments that aren't available yet. And for some people, that can be a really important thing to pursue.
Now let's take a look at what might be involved in the medical process to determine the causes of symptoms. Let's start by testing your knowledge. Who here thinks there is currently no way to diagnose Alzheimer's or dementia? The answer is false. Contrary to the outdated belief that an Alzheimer's diagnosis can only be made at autopsy, there are a number of assessments and tests that make it possible for healthcare professionals to diagnose Alzheimer's and dementias with a high degree of certainty. However, determining the cause of dementia can sometimes be more difficult. Here we're going to explore possible steps of the diagnostic process. Keep in mind as we review these steps, not everyone may be asked to undergo each one by their doctor. Assessments may include medical history, physical exam, screen for depression, interview with close companion. Tests may include laboratory tests, mental cognitive status tests, and brain imaging. Many people wonder, do dementia-like symptoms always result in a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or another dementia? The diagnostic process will vary from person to person, depending on an individual's specific situation and what the doctor feels is the right course of action for that person. The diagnosis may be something other than Alzheimer's or another dementia, which is why it's important to investigate the cause of the symptoms. Stigma and misconceptions about Alzheimer's, like nothing can be done, can deter some people from seeking a diagnosis. The Alzheimer's Association is in communities across the country, providing direct service to individuals and families facing the disease. Now I'm going to turn this over to Annie, who will review the programs and services available in Rhode Island, and Kate Spinella, who will talk about how to get involved. Annie? No, not that.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I hope everybody can hear me. But yes, the Alzheimer's Association is available to anybody and anyone who's concerned with, early signs of dementia, or if you are caring for an individual who's living with the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease or other related dementias. We're very fortunate that, and Nikki did mention it earlier, but we're very, very fortunate that we do have a 24/7 helpline, which is staffed by master level clinicians, who's available, anytime, any day, with any important question. Our clinicians can support family members to understand and learn about their loved one's diagnosis. We can help family members with care planning and finding local resources that are available in your state to support the family through this journey of Alzheimer's disease or other related dementias. We also have an incredible website of information and resources, which is alz.org. We have on this particular website, we have the ability for people to get involved with chat rooms. There are resources to learn about how to handle, difficult behaviors, questions around driving. We also offer many educational programs and support groups throughout the country. Right here in Rhode Island right now, because of the pandemic that we've all been living through, we had to turn to providing all of our services remotely, but we've been very successful at that, and are able to, like we're doing today, we're able to offer our educational presentations and our support groups through Zoom or some other virtual platforms, or just by the telephone. And so, we are here for our families. There are no individual fees for our resources and services that are available. All of these are free for our families. We are just very, very fortunate that we're able to offer all of these resources to family members. We also have an important resource that I want to share with all of you is what's called Trial Match. And it's as I kind of saw it, but it's as I call it, a dating service for clinical research. But it gives people an opportunity who's interested in getting involved in clinical research as a way of finding out trials that you may be eligible for. And you can visit this website at www.alz.org/trial match. We're very fortunate here in the state of Rhode Island to actually have a lifestyle intervention study called U.S. Pointer Study. And this is a lifestyle intervention study that we are looking to see if how diet and exercise can actually help us ward off the continuation of cognitive decline, and to see if a diet rich in healthy food, and if exercise can help us improve our brain health. We're looking for individuals who are from the ages of 60 to 79, and we will provide in the chat in just a little bit the how to learn more about the U.S. Pointer Study, and how to participate in Trial Match to learn if you may be eligible for a clinical trial. So I'd love to introduce Kate Spinella, who is our Director of Development here at the Alzheimer's Association. Kate and I work hand in hand to support our families here in the state of Rhode Island. And I'll let Kate tell you a little more about, if you're interested in getting involved in the fight to end Alzheimer's, ways that you can do that, and a way that you can help us spread the word about who we are and what we do, and how we can support our communities throughout the state of Rhode Island, and help provide more education and support for all of our families living with this diagnosis here in the state. So Kate, take it away.
Thank you, Annie, and thank you, Nicki, for putting on such a great presentation. We had a little technical difficulty at the beginning, so it's exciting that it's come off so well. So thank you all for your patience. Annie said that our programs are given free and they're open to the public. So of course there is a revenue component. We need to raise money in order to support our programs. So there are ways you can do that, but to become involved in general, we have the opportunity of volunteers. Nicki is a volunteer. She's here today because she wanted to join the fight. And so there are multitude of volunteer opportunities, from being a community educator, like Nicki, and also another job that she held was the chair of our Newport Walk. So if you have interest in becoming a community educator, or joining a committee, from just being there on the day of one of our events up to a leadership position, we have all types of opportunities available for you. You can become an advocate. We have a whole host of people who have volunteered, who have telling their story to our local legislators, as well as our congressional delegation in Washington, D.C. Those are the people that are explaining to our lawmakers how Alzheimer's has impacted them. For myself, I lost my mom to the disease after a 14-year battle against it. So all of you out there that have some connection to the disease and want to use your voice, our doors are open. We'd love to talk to you about it. I know Annie talked a little bit about trial match, but that's one way to pay it forward. If you want to get involved and hopefully help all of us find a cure, that's one way to do it. So please consider joining trial match. And for me, for revenue generation, which is the most important thing to keep our programs going, we have some great events, and this year we're going to be in person. We have 4 walks to end Alzheimer's. They take place across the country. We actually host over 600 and nationally, but here in Rhode Island, we have one in Westerly, Providence, Block Island, and Newport. And these take place at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, in September and October. We'd love to see you join us. It's not only for revenue generation. It is there for awareness. And when you are standing shoulder to shoulder, and we will be doing that post-pandemic, standing shoulder to shoulder with all those affected by this disease, you feel like you're not alone. And so we encourage you to join the fight at alz.org/RI/walk. You'll get all the information. And again, if you have any questions about volunteering, you can visit our website at alz.org/RI. And you can talk to Annie or me directly. We also have a Director of Public Policy and Communications, David Carlin, who would love to have some more advocates on his team. So I really thank you for your time today. We are so grateful to the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce for hosting us and getting the word out. We're here to help. And this is what I emphasize every time I talk to a large crowd. You are not alone, and we are here 24 hours, 7 days a week to help you and your loved ones get through this unbelievable journey of Alzheimer's. So, and thank you. Thank you for your time. And we'll take questions.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Nicki. Thank you, Annie. That was amazing. And, so obvious that you have such empathy and concern and, just real love for being able to, help families that are going through this difficult time. Could I ask you a couple of questions about the research and the hope part of it? And you mentioned Dr. Salloway. I saw him in the video. He is a global expert on Alzheimer's disease, located right here in Rhode Island at Butler Hospital. What can you tell us about what the future might hold in terms of a cure?
So I guess I will start with that one. I think we're very, very fortunate, and I say this because I look at the last 11 years from where I came from when I first started the association, and we've come a long way. We in 11 years ago, we really didn't have the ability to actually diagnose Alzheimer's disease unless it was after mortem and after with an autopsy. But we now have that ability through expanded CAT scans to be able to actually diagnose the disease using a CAT scan. We're also recognizing that that Alzheimer's disease, we're probably not going to actually ever find an actual cure, but we're seeing that Alzheimer's disease, or the prevention, or the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, it looks like it's going to be sort of a cocktail of maybe medication and lifestyle intervention to actually be able to manage Alzheimer's disease, or another type of dementia. We're really looking at it as a chronic disease, and that this is going to be a lifelong type of prevention and intervention. We also are seeing now that in research that, we're not the research of Alzheimer's disease is not just looking at how we can, take care of the symptoms. We are actually studying medication now that we're actually looking at, can we prevent Alzheimer's disease? We're using medications now where clinical medications are actually in trials where we have individuals who may have a family history of Alzheimer's disease in their family. They may actually have the plaques and tangles associated with the disease when you look at it in a PET scan, but they're not showing any outward symptoms yet. But we're now saying, is there something that we could do with medication to actually remove or shrink the plaques and tangles that are associated to? So potentially, is it potential that we might be able to, make the disease not appear? So that's where the hope comes. We're studying prevention. We're studying early intervention now, and prior to, we weren't able to do that. So, and many of those studies are going on right here in the state of Rhode Island, which we're really excited about. Butler Hospital and Lifespan Rhode Island Hospital and I should say Rhode Island Mood and Memory in East Providence. They are all doing these preventative studies now, which we're really excited for. And people can actually go into Trial Match to see if they may be eligible for getting involved in this kind of clinical research.
Fantastic. Taking questions now, and yes, Jen has a question, and she wants to know, how many stages are there of Alzheimer's disease?
So the Alzheimer's Association, we look at it as sort of a symptomatic, and we look at 3 stages: early stage, late stage, and early stage, middle stage, and late stage. But I know in the diagnostic centers and sort of the medical, they may look at a sort of a range of between 1 and 7 stages. So it sort of depends on, sort of which way you're looking at the disease. But I think what we do know is that so many of the symptoms that people experience overlap one another. And that when you see one individual with Alzheimer's disease, it's really that one individual who's experiencing the disease. And it's very difficult sometimes for us to kind of figure out really where they are in the disease process and which stage they are. So
thank you for that. So Laura has a question, and she wants to know about family history and the degree to which that impacts risk.
Okay. Well, we do know that one of the risk factors is, having a family history of the disease. We know that the biggest risk factor is age, and the older an individual is, the higher risk that a person may have in developing Alzheimer's disease. Family history is definitely is also a risk factor. We also know that genetics takes in process of, if you have the genes associated with Alzheimer's disease, another one of the dementias, that's a risk factor. We also know too that being a female, being a woman, is a risk factor for developing Alzheimer's disease. We also recognize that certain ethnic groups, African Americans and Hispanics, have 2 times more likely in developing Alzheimer's disease than people who are white. So I hope that will share that information with you.
Can I just
Thanks.
add, so I was saying earlier that my mom had Alzheimer's disease. That does not mean that I'm guaranteed to get it. It increases my risk, obviously. So it's like, sometimes when we look and somebody has a gene associated with it, that we know what that gene is. Generally, that's a long history of people with Alzheimer's disease that runs in families that they already know. So there's a lot of things, and Annie talked about risk reduction and what we can do to reduce our risk. And a lot of them, when we say heart healthy, is brain healthy. So if you're practicing a heart healthy lifestyle, that's going to reduce your risk. So family history can increase your risk, but what you do can reduce it. So there's on both sides.
You mentioned the gene, and I have at least 2 or 3 really good friends right now who are taking care of parents that have advanced stage Alzheimer's, and some of them are getting the gene test. So I'm wondering if you recommend that, and if you do recommend it, and the test comes back as yes, you do have one of the factors. Does that help in terms of getting a head start on living or adjusting your lifestyle to take advantage of just what you mentioned?
So, I mean, I think it is important, that if an individual is having the, genetic testing done, whatever the results might be, what it does do is it will help you into determining how you want to, work on, improving those particular, healthy habits to, to decrease your risk for, developing, cognitive issues down the line. But I think too, if anybody is interested in, in thinking about genetics, how important it is to talk to a physician or to talk to a genetic counselor specifically about, what it means and, making that choice. And it's important just to be as informed as possible to help you make that decision whether or not you want to have that genetic testing done. Kate or Nikki, do you have any comments additionally? Or?
I also participate in Trial Match, and so I participate in a couple of studies. One is just an online, tracking over time. The other is an annual interview. They have done the testing on me. I don't know the results of those testings. I've been invited to other types of studies that would require me to know whether or not I have that gene. The Alzheimer's Association gives you great resources on the things to consider in terms of whether or not you will find that empowering, that you could do something. I think I would, or whether you would find that depressing. But also to think about your family and, the impact on them. So there's a lot of things I think to consider, around that. So for me, I've opted not to do that at this time. Mostly for the impact to my family, who's not really ready to hear that. I'm not sure I am either.
Yeah, and I'm also like Nikki. I have enrolled in a trial here in Rhode Island. They've taken my blood. They know where I am, whether or not I have a gene. I do not know at this point, but they follow me every year. They send me some questions and interview me to see if there's any movement in my cognitive ability. At this point, everything seems to be going along just fine. But if I start showing some signs, I really would like to know myself personally, just as Nikki said, to prepare my family. So it is a personal choice, but there are ways to find out for sure.
Gina says, thank you very much, Nikki. I've always wondered about gene testing, so that's a nice piece of feedback to get. Deb also is commenting about the trials and hearing more about exercise and lessening her chances, and she does have a family history. So the lifestyle aspects are really, 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 really pivotal. Speaking of that, I don't know if this is, just repeating a myth or not, but I've heard that alcohol use or, drinking wine and that kind of thing is something that can accelerate the risk. So what do you experts have to say about, drinking and alcohol use?
So we do know that there is a type of dementia that is related to severe alcohol usage. And again, it's called Korsakoff syndrome. And, it's definitely something that there are dementia-related symptoms related to that. So to severe alcohol use.
Yeah. So you're saying it's severe as opposed to day-to-day normal social drinking, if there is such a thing as day-to-day social.
From my understanding, it appears to be severe, ongoing, long usage of alcohol usage. So a lot of times too, though, that maybe with the use of alcohol, there could be other underlying medical conditions that can be caused, that the alcohol use can be causing, which could impact, outward dementia-like symptoms. So.
Stacy is wondering.
Cardiovascular health, Laurie, cardiovascular health. So if you're drinking and it is impacting your, let's say, your blood pressure, then that could lead to vascular dementia. If depending on how you treat your high blood pressure. So there are factors in there. It just really depends on the individual. But I'm going to say it again: heart healthy is considered brain healthy. So that can be very helpful to know that.
Thank you, Kate. Stacy is wondering, is there a way to gauge timeframes between the stages, and how long might a person go and be in one stage before they go into the next stage, et cetera?
So this, there's really...
I'll take this question.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Annie, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kate. It's okay.
Well, I just want to say, so my mother had the disease for 14 years. She had absolutely zero underlying conditions. So she didn't have any cardiovascular disease. She had classic Alzheimer's. So I say we did Alzheimer's from A to Z, from the early mild cognitive impairment to really, as the doctor said in the video, not being able to swallow. And she eventually passed away from basically her lungs forgetting how to breathe, forgetting how to swallow. It really depends. It really depends on the individual and whether or not they have underlying health conditions. So if somebody has diabetes or has high blood pressure or COPD or some other underlying cause, that can hasten the impending, as we all know. I don't know if we said it. I mean, it is, Alzheimer's is 100% fatal. So it can hasten the progression of the disease. We talk about dying with Alzheimer's or dying from Alzheimer's and what the difference is. So dying from Alzheimer's is what happened to my mom, but dying with Alzheimer's is someone who may have Alzheimer's disease and pass away from something else. So you have to look at the individual. It really depends. And so oftentimes, and I just had a conversation with an old friend of mine, how long is it going to take? And the doctors will tell you, we don't know, because it is based on the individual and their personal health history and every other underlying factor. So it's a question that everybody wants to know the answer to, but they really don't know. It really is individually based on the person's health history. Did I do it okay, Annie, with that?
You did. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. A couple of more comments and questions. Jen wants to know how she might reach out to you individually to ask a question or two about a family member, and how they might do that.
Yep. So she can definitely reach out to us. She can call us through our helpline, 1-800-272-3900. She can also reach me at my email at mmurphy@alz.org. We'll also give you our local chapter number, which is 421-0008. And Jen, we are more than happy to, talk to you personally. So.
All right. Well, before we end our program, we'll give everyone a chance to run and get a pen, and we will end with the repeating of those numbers and that contact information. Just a couple of more questions, and then we'll wrap up. Kate says, "Thank you so much. This has been great." And she is wondering. She said, "My mother was diagnosed at age 88, and she's becoming more and more belligerent, and my father, age 90, is struggling to deal with her behavior. Any help or ideas, medicine or other?" So that's a serious question.
So, I think, again, I don't think this is something that we can answer just immediately, but, we do recognize that, for the person who's living with the diagnosis, that there can be many reasons why, and things that may be triggering their behavior. It could be just the how the disease is progressing, and many people experience personality changes. They may be experiencing environmental triggers that could be triggering their particular behavior. It also could just be our own interaction with the individual, and how they're interacting with one another. And, we can spend a lot of times just, really talking with you, Kate, and, trying to figure out maybe what might be going on, and also, maybe working on together some interventions and how we can support your mom, your mom and your dad better. So, and we do know, the last question you asked about medication, there are, many times, the medical team like to try, use medications for intervention. And, we need to really, really pay close attention when we're trying to use medications for intervention, because there can be side effects to the medication, and also sometimes particular medications that we try may actually also be exacerbating those behaviors as well. So thank you for that question, Kate.
Yeah, that makes it also very challenging when there are, contraindications, and you think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually making it worse. A random question, considering the times that we're in, and people are calling, this day-to-day scenario like Blur's Day, where all the days kind of, flow together, and we're in our homes and we're going from one Zoom to the next, and there's not a lot of, external stimulation, if you will. Are there any concerns or indicators that this might accelerate any kind of dementia?
So unfortunately, we are seeing that the severe isolation and lack of socialization seems to be, has sped up for so many of our loved ones living with a diagnosis of dementia, that the lack of socialization, the lack of, the routine that they've had that's been so poorly disrupted by, the pandemic that we've been living in, that we've seen, people's disease progress more quickly. But we're also seeing too that there's been some real enjoyment, and people, experience some really wonderful moments, through the virtual platforms. Family members have been able to, continue to stay connected as much as they can be through these platforms, and being very creative in, doing things together, using the virtual platforms over this last year. So.
Mm-hmm. So your advice is to get out, get moving. Cardiovascular health is brain health, and social isolation, no matter what it is bad for, any sort of disease onset, right?
Absolutely. We all, go ahead, Kate. I know this is your favorite topic, so.
And on our website, we have 10 ways to love your brain. And so alz.org, we mentioned it earlier, how it's such a great resource. You can find a lot of answers to some of those questions, like, what am I doing? And am I doing things right in order for you to try and stay healthy? So I would encourage everyone to visit our website. You can just type in ways to love your brain in the search bar, and you will come up with a lot of information on what you should be doing for your health. And I know that someone asked about the U.S. pointer study. Again, all you have to do is go to our website and type in U.S. pointer or pointer, and that will bring that up. That's the lifestyle intervention study going on right here in Rhode Island. And Annie might have the exact website where people can get information on that as well and get involved. I think it's for people who are 60 or over and want to participate. And they are they're continuing to take people.
Yes. So, if anybody who's interested in going to the U.S. Pointer site right here in Rhode Island, I'm going to put that right in our chat feature so that you can see that. But you could also call 1-800 U.S. Pointer, and you will be able to connect with someone here at Butler to learn about the U.S. Pointer study. So.
Okay, so we are at the top of the hour, and we should wrap up. But before we do, and before we get to the repeat of the contact info, any last comments to leave us with?
I think it's just important, and please share what you've learned today with your families and your friends, and because we need to continue to educate, our communities about what is the 10 warning signs and how important early detection is. So, what you've learned today, please share with your family. Please, talk to anyone that you're concerned with, so that we can help change the course of this disease and make their journey with it easier and and more manageable. So thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Nicki, very impressed with your volunteer efforts and your passion for the Alzheimer's Association.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicki.
And
thanks, Nicki.
And Kate, any final comments? And you want to talk about the walk one more time, and then we'll switch back to it.
Absolutely. So alz.org/RI/walk. You'll get all the information on how to get involved. I can't emphasize enough how excited we are about this year being back together. The numbers are growing. Our governor is opening us up slowly by slowly. I think we'll be all set to all be together in September and October. So if you have any question about the walk, you can certainly contact me directly, K.A. Spinella at alz.org. And if you want to volunteer or get involved, we're here. And I said it before and I'll say it again. We are here 24 hours, 7 days a week. When you are involved with a loved one who has the disease, and you just don't know what you're involved with until you are in it. And so we're here to help you through, from diagnosis to behaviors, to communication, to whatever you might need. So please reach out if you need our services. And even if you call the 1-800 number and you say, I want to talk to Annie Murphy from Providence, you'll get her or you'll get me. And we can always hook you up with Nicki as well.
Fantastic. So you can wrap us up, Annie, by getting back to Jen's initial question of how to the best way to reach you. And I know we've put a lot of information in the chat here, but in case somebody is listening rather than watching, just shout it out one more time.
All right. So you can reach us on our helpline at 1-800-272-3900. But you can also reach me personally at my email at mmurphy@alz.org, or if you want to call us right on our chapter at 421-0008. My extension is 9704. I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for sharing such valuable information. And I know everybody got a lot out of it. And it's something that regrettably visits us more than we would like to acknowledge. But with the help of the Alzheimer's Association, the Rhode Island chapter, it's clear that there are so many ways that families can take advantage of the great resources that you offer and the great expressions of care and concern and empathy, and the fact that you all have personal experience in battling this disease with loved ones for a very long time. So the caring and the compassion is evident from the three of you, and we are most grateful to be able to showcase you today with the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce. So that concludes our broadcast. We will see everybody next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.